Again, Steve Partridge, Northern Virginia Community College. We are a college, a two-year institution. We have about 120 different degrees. Many of them are transfer degrees, but some are what we call AAS. They're intended to prepare people to go into the workforce. Our challenge in our society right now, especially in Greater Washington, isn't, when we talk about skills gap, preparing people. I think we probably train people better than anyone in the world in the US. It's really about alignment of interests and where the jobs are. That's what we don't do too good a job at. We often marvel at like, wow, there's a skills shortage. All these people, 40,000 jobs in the DC area, this sort of mismatch. We graduate about 15,000 people per year in Greater Washington with IT degrees. 15,000. Only about a third of those stay in the Greater Washington area. Many of them leave. So 5,000 a year. When you look at that 15,000 number we graduate every year, we'd have to grow that to 45, and they'd all have to stay here just to keep up with current demand. That doesn't include if Amazon shows up. If you throw 50,000 in 10 years, you'd have to grow to probably 80,000 graduates a year. So we know there's a mismatch, but we always sort of wonder, like, what's causing it? Do we just need to improve the degrees, get more kids to go to college? But in reality, kids are going to college. The question is, what are they going to college for? There's a real disconnect in society about career awareness, and who owns that? If you think about it, as a parent of 3 boys, I kind of assume when we talk about what they're going to do when they get older, and they tell me, Dad, we're too young, we don't want to talk about it. But you assume it's happening somewhere, and it is right now. It's happening in college. We wonder why kids stay in college so long, or they drop out. The career awareness is happening in the most expensive place in the world right now. Your freshman, sophomore year, you take classes, you go, ooh, I don't like this. Ooh, I do like this. I'm gonna go take this class. Ooh, and you switch around a lot trying to figure it all out. And it's not cheap like it was. And I think part of it is, as parents in our generation went to college, it was a little more affordable. The states were subsidizing higher ed a little more. Now that's almost flipped, where 20 years ago, we were funded about 2/3 of our enrollment numbers came from the state, and 1/3 was tuition. Now that's flipped. So students are paying a lot more to go to college. So it's probably the wrong place to let them just linger and figure it out, or maybe not figure it out. We need to do a better job pushing that information knowledge down. Another trend that is sort of disturbing, that's starting to switch now with younger people being pulled into the workforce. For the past 20 years, we've seen fewer kids in the workforce. The summer job that we all had growing up doesn't exist. Those jobs have either gone to adults who are working in lower wage employment opportunities, or students now. I never had year-round soccer, year-round this, extracurricular. It's so busy within the K-12 structure, it doesn't leave as much time for work. So kids often are going away to college never having worked. So when employers say, these kids are coming out of school and they're not work ready, they don't know what work is. So we're missing those opportunities by pushing it and sort of kicking the can down the road. What worries me about Northern Virginia is that we have 2.5% overall unemployment, which means as employers in the room here, you know some of you are locked in. If you're in healthcare, you sort of have to feed the local market, you look for efficiencies, but you got to hire people here. When you get to the tech world, I've got 40,000 vacancies, unfilled positions. They have little choice if they can't hire locally but to bring people in or move the jobs out. And it's getting more difficult because of transportation issues, cost of living, and others to move people in. Stephen Fuller has said the numbers of people migrating to the Northern Virginia area is slowing. So if that's happening, what choice do we have? What's left for us to do is to probably double down and prepare that next generation with career awareness. We need to do more. NOVA needs to own more about pushing that information into the schools. But sort of like, well, how do we do that? So one of the things I did when I got here 2 years ago from Charlotte is we created a labor intelligence group. It's just one guy, but it sounds cool. But he's getting another guy soon. And so there'll be 2 of them that basically crunch numbers all day, and they look at all the jobs that are out there. They look at the job descriptions. They look at how it matches our degrees. It talks with employers, because we have a partnership with the Northern Virginia Tech Council. So in the technology field, we talk to the employers via their sort of trade association. We talked with Ken and the heavy equipment. They approached us and said, we have a need here, thousands of jobs going unfilled, what can we do together? And how do we make sure that what we're doing maps to something? Because as a parent, giving someone $100,000 who's 18 saying, go to school, figure it out, and I hope you're employed, not back here when you're done. There needs to be a job waiting at the end of all these opportunities. As a parent, as a society, putting all this money into higher ed, we should expect that. So we mapped, and there's a If you complete the program we created with Ken, there's a guaranteed interview with one of his members. We want to do that with more companies because everyone is out there struggling, but we've got to do more to get the kid internships while still in high school, not waiting for that magic internship when they're about to graduate, because most companies look at internships as a recruitment tool. I'm going to do this to try the person out to make sure they're a fit for the company before I hire. When in reality, a lot of these internships that used to be there before several court cases and unpaid internships versus paid internships, it was a way to say, I like this, I don't like this, and sort of figure out what you want to do. Those don't exist anymore. We need to bring those back. We need to give some incentive to businesses to get kids interested in these high demand areas, or there'll be no kids in those high demand areas. The biggest influence on your kids right now? Television. I have more CSI graduates than we could place in the entire US. Because as a higher institution, people came in, I want to go into criminal investigation. There were never that many jobs, but it seems cool from the TV shows out there. And we never owned any of it. We said, well, we'll keep creating sections and classes and we'll produce thousands of them. There's no responsibility on higher ed's part to slow the spigot. And now I think we're getting the pushback is we've created some mismatch by not advising people up front. So we've got a mismatch of oversupply of CSI graduates and an undersupply of tech graduates. We have fewer women in IT today than we had in the 90s as a percentage. There's a lot more jobs, but the women have not kept up the pace. So how do we get more women into IT? We talk about closing the skill gap. We've got to do more to encourage young women to go into this field. Otherwise, we risk not only our local economy, but the US economy. There are countries who come and visit us all the time since we're in the DC market that sit down with us and say, our leadership at the top has decided we're going to create 1 million engineers or 1 million technicians, and we want to know what you're doing so we can copy it and scale it to a realm that we can't even compete with. Because we're sort of laissez-faire about what kids choose. And other countries say, build a factory and we will deliver the workers on the day you open their doors. And the government sort of does that. So when you talk about economic development, you're in competition to grow jobs around the world with a government as a partner that will deliver the workforce. And we say, company, good luck finding people, hire recruiters, try to get kids into there, you're paying the freight. It is a different world than when we grew up. It is a lot more dangerous. Jobs are the new currency, and if we're not going to focus on what education produces and making sure those are aligned, we will lose. So, it's not a really happy note to end on. Everyone turn around and look at the meeting. We got everything here to be competitive. People want to be here, but we need to do a better job aligning. As David said, workforce is a team sport. We all have to work together because it's never any individual federal state program. They're never funded enough to do everything. But by working together and really making a system, I think we can compete. But it starts with businesses opening their doors, giving us those opportunities to get kids the exposure early, working with us to make sure our education is really meeting your needs. I mean, I hear from CEOs, oh, you're not producing people. Like, well, when did you sit down with us to tell us we went sideways and didn't give you something? So we've got to have a better dialogue. And so with that,